Deschner Warner is a research assistant at the Institute for Knowledge Transfer and Digital Transformation at Mittweida University of Applied Sciences. With 3 master's degrees and extensive experience in public education and working with Saxon companies, Deschner Warner works at Medvida University of Applied Sciences since 2018. Passion for intercultural competence and corporate social responsibility is reflected in her work. Her academic career is supported by the NextGen project, and she's currently working on a doctorate. In this interview, she'll tell us how she came to Medvida and what her passion is about. So first off, thank you very much for being here with us today and for participating in this interview. To start off with, I'd like to ask you some quick questions. Is there a woman who particularly inspires you?
Her name is Harriet Tubman, because she was courageous and she had a goal, for example, a social goal of helping others and going against the system. And I was always amazed by her, and still today I read as much as I can about this particular woman. So she's one in particular. Another one is a country singer. Her name is Dolly Parton. And I think when people think of her or know her, it's a lot of big hair, makeup, flashy outfits. But she has stayed true to who she is, and she says people will like me as I am, and if they don't like the way I look, then they don't like the way I look. But she's very giving, she's very authentic, she supports many social systems and educational programs in the United States, and I like that she's fair also. They are women of authenticity, and they were courageous.
Yeah, that sounds great. Do you rather work with younger or older people?
I am interested in what the younger people are thinking, and also hoping that I can provide them some guidance and finding ways to where the younger people can, with older people, find a connection and maybe give some support or motivation to younger people.
What's your biggest motivator?
My son. I'm going to use him as my motivator because he gives a lot of energy to me, and I want to, this may sound a little cliche, but it's the truth, I want to be a good example to him, and so he motivates me to push myself. So I would say that is my motivator.
Next off, we're going to go over a couple more complex questions about your career, your job, and the city we're currently in right now, Mittweida.
Okay.
So you are from the United States of America. Where from exactly?
I'm from the state of West Virginia.
And what city?
It's a very small city. I'm from the city of Salem. Small population. We don't have a traffic light either, so that kind of gives you the gist. But we're deep in the mountains, and it's absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, I can imagine. You have 3 master's degrees. That sounds like an incredible amount of academic work. How is that, and how did that come about?
I like to learn, and I like to, I'm a bit nosy or curious, I guess. But how it worked was I had finished my bachelor's degree in human services and psychology, and so I started a master's. And my first master's was in rehabilitation counseling, where I focused on counseling and therapy for people that were injured from accident or a medical condition, and they were having to go back into the work field and providing some type of counseling or support. And while I was doing this job, after I got my first master's, I was working in the system. I started working with teenagers. For somehow it switched to teenagers, and I really enjoyed that, and realized I would like to be a psychologist in the school system, but for that I needed another master's. So I went back, got a master's in school counseling, school therapy, and with that master's I was able, luckily, and had the opportunity to be a director of the psychological and counseling services in my area. So I was over 32 schools, and I really enjoyed it. But then I realized I have these abilities, but I need also a bit of leadership from this. And for me to grow in my position, I needed a master's in leadership. So I went back and got a master's in leadership, which was really probably of all my masters, my favorite master's degree. And my father was also a professor of management, and he loved leadership. So I think that just kind of built up on that.
And what are the topics of your degrees?
For example, the rehabilitation counseling. And in that field, it is specifically looked at assisting someone going through a conflict or critical time. And I think learning those skills and working with people in those areas helped as well in further positions that I've done, or in masters or jobs, but as well as just in our day-to-day teams we have at work, dealing with conflict or trying to overcome obstacles and work through those.
And as I heard, you're now a research assistant at Medvida University of Applied Sciences. What are your responsibilities in that job?
Yes, one responsibility, which is my favorite, or one of my favorites maybe, is I get to do lectures. And so I have lectures in areas such as organizational psychology, intercultural competency, communication, international management. And I had the opportunity with my boss to do a master's class this past semester in global corporate culture. The other part is I'm in charge, or I work with a partnership that was made with the United States, with the university. And we have a partnership for student exchange and for professional exchange.
Why did you choose Mittweida out of all the cities in the entire world?
Well, actually, Mittweida came to me, and so I'm really thankful. I worked as a freelancer doing English coaching and job coaching to companies throughout Saxony and a part of Czech Republic. And one of my customers that I was working with was a part of Mittweida, and asked, would you be interested in just coming and do a workshop or maybe a semester in discussing communication? And I did, and I loved it, because I wanted this some point in my life to be at a university. And it received good feedback, luckily. And then came the next opportunity, and then I was in a project, and then I received a full-time position starting in 2020.
And you're also currently working on your doctorate. Can you tell me what topic you're working on?
Yes, it's in the area of intercultural competency, and it's looking at the effects of how intercultural competency is on employee sustainability in multicultural workplaces. So what that all means, in layman's terms, is looking at how attitudes and knowledge and how competent we are in other cultures, how that makes an effect on if an employee stays long in a company or not.
And you once said that transdisciplinary terms function like a symphony orchestra. What did you mean by that?
Well, with transdisciplinary groups or teams, is that we're bringing in people from different areas. So you're bringing in people, when I was discussing that, was bringing people in from different backgrounds, different knowledge. And if we're having to work on a team, then it's like an orchestra. In an orchestra, you have the brass instruments and you have the wooden instruments. And they all make a different sound, and they all have a different tone. So they have a different tone, a different sound, but each one is important. And to have a beautiful music, you can't just have one, really, for a symphony. You need, for a symphony, a mixture of instruments.
Yeah.
And to have a good team, you need a mixture of good people. And to listen to the different tones, take the different parts, the expertise from each person, build a really good team. And that's just like a symphony. When you take the different tones, the different instruments, the different players, musicians, and then it's conducted together, make sweet music.
Yeah, exactly. And what does cultural diversity and adaptability mean to you personally, like beyond the professional level?
It's in everything we do. It's in your home, from listening to music to watching television to the food you eat. And so for me, it is something that, because it's around us, we should enjoy it and take it in.
You flew across the world to Germany, and now you're working with German teams. Have there been moments when you experienced cultural diversity and adaptability as a challenge or as an opportunity?
A challenge that I had, one was in regards to, I couldn't speak German when I first moved here, so this was challenging for me. And so it made sometimes difficult to get involved in organizations or in groups or in a conversation at a party. I think another, and this goes with stereotypes, which I think is sometimes unfortunate, but they are there, is that there were very many typical stereotypes coming from America. And I found them sometimes challenging, that they were maybe not welcoming into certain areas or working on German teams. But I took that as an opportunity to say, let's talk about the stereotypes, or to say, yeah, that's true, that's true stereotype, or to try to prove that it's a wrong stereotype and that not all are so. Yeah. And that's where I think that when we talk about diversity, these are challenges, no matter where we go. If we are a German that goes to America or that goes to Spain, there's going to be a challenge because these stereotypes are already in people's minds. But that's an opportunity.
Yeah.
That's an opportunity to either prove it wrong or to give more information about that. Why is that? And then I think that's a great opportunity. But I must also say, just on the other realm, it's been very welcoming working on German teams.
Is there any advice you could give for working with intercultural teams?
I think it's important in this word respect, is to respect each other, and to respect that we may have different political opinions, different religious opinions, and different backgrounds. But that I'm at the table where I respect you and that I listen to at least what you have to say and we can discuss it. We don't attack each other, we don't degrade each other, but that is really a number one tip. And when people learn good communication skills or learn about another culture and actually listen, then it really alleviates and lowers the animosity or the problem between. A quick thing I would just like to add to that is 2 semesters ago, I had a class and I had 13 students in it. And what was amazing, I had them from 8 different countries, 8 different nationalities in this class. And I asked them each, what is one thing that you want from others? And then they have to put up the word that they want. And 90% said they wrote down respect. And I was really surprised about so many people having the same answer. And they were students from China to America to Bahrain, all over. And everyone wanted respect. And I think that was the key area of showing what we have to do. So how do you want respect and how can you give respect? And that's one of the things when you ask about teaching, that's why I really like teaching, is that maybe this is something that I can help. When you learn about another culture, then you learn about respect, and then we break down those barriers of stereotypes.
Yeah, you're right. And as I mentioned in the beginning, you are a part of the NextGen project at Mittweida University of Applied Sciences. What kind of project is that, and could you give me more information about NextGen itself?
Yes, NextGen is a project here at Mittweida, and it is to support young professionals going into wanting to become professors at a University of Applied Sciences. It has different levels from scientific to academic to professor assistants, and it provides the support and guidance in regards to research into didactic trainings, as well as transfer of knowledge, interdisciplinary teams, peer learning. It's just an array of areas that provides the foreground and multifacets that helps build someone to not only become a doctor, but hopefully in the future, a professor as well.
Mm-hmm. It sounds amazing. And now, speaking of this area, I'd like to ask you a couple more questions about yourself. So, you live in Mittweida, right?
Chemnitz.
Chemnitz. Okay, and you live there with your family?
Yes.
So personally, I lived abroad for almost a year, so I can kind of imagine how it is to miss your family and your friends. How do you handle the distance, or like, is there anything you noticed compared to your homeland?
How I deal with it, being here now 20 years, you would think it's easy to deal with, but it's really not always, it's there. But how I deal with it is telephoning. I telephone a lot, FaceTime a lot. I try to bring things in that are from my home area. And if there are issues, I think you have to have a really good network, to be honest. And if there are times when maybe you get a little homesick or you get a little down, that you have someone to talk to, maybe even someone from home that understands your joke or the television show or the music or whatever. But I think that's how I deal living abroad.
And last but not least, do you have a spirit animal or a motto you live after, like a slogan or a quote?
I guess one would be I would hear this often when I wasn't believing in myself and saying, oh, I don't think I can do it. What if I fail, you know? What if I don't do well on the job interview? Or what if I fail in Germany? Or all of that. And my mom would say, but what if you fly? You know, I'm always thinking of the negative. And she says, but what if you fly? What if you succeed? And so instead of taking that negative, I always think sometimes of the quote from my mother.
Yeah, I think that's something we could all learn from, for sure. And now that we came to the end of our interview, I'd like to say thank you again. I was very honored to talk to you today, and hopefully we'll see us again in the future, and maybe we're able to talk about some news. And until then, goodbye.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity.
Of course.
Well.